Good morning and welcome to a special episode of FCIAC Tailgate here from Dunning Field underneath Hawes Plaza on the campus of New Canaan High School. Alongside my Nutmeg Sports partner Kevin Coleman, my Coffee Break co-host Kate Chaplensky, and the CT Pulse host Josh Fisher. Also part-timing as a chef today.
Yes.
We are very excited to bring you what should be a great show here today as we continue to preview Turkey Bowl 2016. Thank you, everyone, Brandon. How much fun is this going to be today?
Well, this whole week has been a blast, Frank, and we have a lot of stuff on tap today, including, as you mentioned, Josh cooking up a lot of food for all the sports folks we have here and for the whole crew.
A whole crowd of them.
Yeah, we've got a gathering up there.
We have all of our HAN sports editors attending with us today. We've got some special writers from outside around the state who will be joining us to preview not only the Turkey Bowl, but a lot of the marquee state games that will have major implications on the state tournament. And we agree. We think we have got the best game around Connecticut this week, but there are a lot of games that still matter and will determine what 8 teams are going to go to the tournament for those 4 classes.
You're right. It's going to be a fun finish between these, you say a couple other teams left here for this football season. It's going to be a fun finish to see who ends up playing each other in the state playoffs. I know, there are big implications, of course, in this game. Darien and New Canaan, we're going to see, the loser will play probably Richfield. You mentioned that earlier in the show. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun finish with these football teams, though.
And of course, we'll be talking about not only FCIAC teams, but teams from around the state, including SWC, SCC schools who we haven't got to focus on as much, but obviously the FCIAC teams will run into should they qualify for the state tournament. We've got a lot of special interviews throughout the show. You guys will have a very cool segment similar to one we saw last year as well.
Yeah, we both first selectmen, Jamie Stevenson from Darien and Rob Malazzi from right here in New Canaan, joined us a little bit earlier this morning. We're going to show that interview a little bit coming up next, I believe. Always fun to talk with them. They always place a friendly wager to help benefit a nonprofit. HAN Network matches that as well. We're going to talk more about that and about the fun rivalry and friendship that those two leaders have.
It was a lot of fun getting to watch and see them. It's such good sports about coming out, and they poke fun at each other so well. Of course, Rob, the loser, turn the that a little bit about the menu and what we expect in the tailgating segment.
So right up there on Hawes Plaza, we're going to be grilling up some. We got some chicken wings, Frank. We have some sliders. We have flank steak. We have some chili that's heating up right now that I made the day before yesterday, and we got cornbread. We have hot dogs and sausages and bratwurst and kind of everything that you'd want to have to keep warm.
Yes,
and have fun. And
perfect.
Kate's going to be...
I'm going to be sous chef.
Yes.
Yes. Well, of course, because tailgating is a big tradition in both Darien and New Canaan. So, Thanksgiving morning, a lot of folks are going to be firing up those grills.
And it's a little different from the normal meatless Mondays we're used to seeing.
There's lots of
Yeah.
It is meatful
We
Thursday.
do have some corn chips as a vegetarian option,
Yes,
though,
of course.
today. So.
Maybe a little hint of lime.
Of course, Kevin, we've had Chalk Talk segments with John Kovacs throughout the week. John is going to join us shortly, and we're going to do a live on the field breakdown walkthrough of a play using our sports writers to explain what we might see strategy wise from some of those New Canaan teams and Darien teams. So that'll be exciting shortly later on.
Listen, I can't wait to see you and Kovac go to work with us. Just put us in our place, tell us where to go. And Kovac himself is so much fun to watch in the war room, especially during those Chalk Talk sessions. We talked about it. I just sat in the back and watched you two go to work. It was a pleasure to watch you guys have fun on the board, go over and diagnose these plays. You guys are masters at this sport. It's awesome to watch you guys do it, and we had a blast. And I can't wait and the sports editors, it's going to be fun to watch them go to work a little bit, get some active in there. It's going to be fun.
We're working with open flames today, but I think the biggest fear out of everyone is Kovac making Dave Stewart run wind sprints.
I would pay. I would pay for that.
Good point. Good point.
With all that said, let's take our first break here on FCIAC Tailgate, but what can we expect coming up next, Kate?
All right. Well, up next, we are going to have the first selectmen of both towns of Darien and New Canaan, Rob Malazzi of New Canaan, Jamie Stevenson of Darien. They're going to talk about their friendly rivalry and a way you can support both of their communities this weekend. Is that coming up after this? We'll take a break. sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Why cook it all this holiday? Avoid the stress of holiday planning and let your friends at Walter Stewart's in New Canaan do the heavy lifting. Whether you're looking to fill in with a few crowd-pleasing sides or you want us to prepare your whole feast, from cranberry sauce to pumpkin pie, we're ready to simplify your holiday. Place your order from our holiday menu and spend your holiday the right way, relaxing. Our fresh prepared holiday meals to go are designed with your busy schedule in mind. Visit us at stewartsmarket.com or at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan.
The holidays are a wonderful time to spend with families and friends, sharing a fantastic meal. Football season is in full swing, the fishing has been unbelievable, and it's time to make a list and check it twice. Stop at the Dock Shop, get a fix of summer, and browse loads of new products, including fishing tackle, accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or dockshop.com.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the front network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to FCIAC Tailgate on the HAN Network. I'm Josh Fisher.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky.
And we're here with Darien First Selectman Jamie Stevenson and New Canaan First Selectman Rob Malazzi. This is becoming a regular event, having you both here before the Turkey Bowl.
Absolutely. We look forward to it.
It's a lot of fun.
This is the go-to event for us every year.
And this year we're back at Dunning Field for the first time in years. The little cozier confines here. You've both been getting a lot of ticket requests, Jamie?
Yes, as a matter of fact, yep. Tickets were a hot commodity this year, which is great. You know, that's what hometown football is all about, and I'm really grateful to the town of New Canaan for hosting and for accommodating some extra seating so everybody can come out and enjoy tomorrow.
Jamie, you're great to acknowledge that. We definitely had a game plan where we knew once we couldn't move it to a venue that was larger that we wanted to accommodate as many as possible. Certainly we couldn't meet the demand, but the fact that all these families want to be together on Thanksgiving Day and want to share some of that day with the Darien and New Canaan football rivalry is pretty special.
It really is.
Now, Jamie, each year you guys make a friendly wager. What is that wager this year?
Yes, we do. You know, an issue that's important to Rob and I and all of our other chief elected colleagues is the important issue of drug and opioid abuse. So this year, our friendly $100 bet, should New Canaan prevail, I will be honored to make a contribution to the RAM Council. And Rob's chosen a charity.
Yeah, Jamie has helped me out by identifying a charity through the Darien Fund. That is the Thriving Youth Fund
initiative at the Community Fund.
And
yep.
so I'll be donating to that. And I know the HAN Network has always donated to either cause that we've chosen, no matter who wins, and that's a wonderful thing to do as well.
Yeah, we'll certainly be matching the bet to help sweeten the pot and add a little more fun to this game tomorrow.
Great. You know, while we're here and Jamie's here, I wanted to also just talk about something else. I think seeing that Darien and New Canaan are the predominant two football powerhouses in Fairfield County. Jamie just picked up some land over on Middlesex Road. I'm thinking either there or the Ziegler Estate, we could put a beautiful 12,000 seat stadium. And I don't know if Jamie's up for proposing in her budget, but we should be talking about a combined stadium that we can use for this one time a year. And the taxpayers would support it, wouldn't they, Jamie?
Rob, this is the best regionalism effort that I've ever heard, without a doubt. Yep, absolutely. And you know what? I think that HAN is going to be our corporate sponsor.
I love it.
HAN Stadium. stadium. I think
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that we could broach that subject with give you folks the exclusive. But after what she and I have been through with tickets and all this stuff, I'm convinced that we've got something we can do about this for next time.
It's always easier to spend millions of more dollars. Just ask the governor.
Now, I do want to ask, guys, I mean, the fact that these tickets sold out so quickly really speaks to the communities and the involvement and how much people love this event. What do you think is really just so important about the Turkey Bowl in general overall?
I think I have to say that it's an opportunity for, everybody to get back together after the kickoff of the year. I'm so excited about especially those college kids coming home, the freshmen who first time back. This is really their homecoming, and families all gathering. I think this year in particular, everyone's really looking forward to some good old-fashioned Thanksgiving holiday spirit. So that to me, that's what the Turkey Bowl represents.
She said it eloquently and perfectly. That's exactly what it's all about.
It's going to be amazing in here, this atmosphere. Do you guys have tickets to the game, or do we need Frank Anito to get you some?
I've got one and Jamie has one. That's
Got
the
one,
truth.
that's it.
That's
Yep.
the truth.
It's incredible.
So you'll traditionally be part of the coin toss?
Yeah, we'll do the coin toss and stay on the sidelines and watch as much of the game as possible before I have to run home or not run home to put the turkey in the oven. So no, it's a wonderful thing to look forward to. It's actually really nice to have it in either Darien or New Canaan. It's just a little shorter commute for the both of us that have obligations, as a lot of people do that day. And those games go a long time. They're not 2-hour games, as we know. Darien New Canaan games tend to go on a little bit. So.
That's certainly true. Go ahead, Kate.
One last thing we wanted to ask you about, well, not last thing, but another event coming up this weekend is Small Business Saturday. And New Canaan and Darien both have very active business communities. So just want to ask you both, why is it important for people to get out there this weekend?
Listen, I was a merchant before I got this job, and I can tell you the importance of it. It meant everything to our bottom line. The fact that we have two beautiful towns with such classy retailers, I know that's where the Malazzi's will be. It's probably where the Stevensons will be on Saturday morning, is supporting those folks. There's no better feeling, and so many of those businesses in our towns give back to the communities in so many ways that it's the natural and the right thing to do. So I look forward to Small Business Saturday.
Yeah, I really agree with that too. Everything that Rob said, small business is the backbone of our community. Darien's made a real commitment to small family business. I know online shopping has taken over for the most part for the convenience of everybody, but when you're out and about, especially this weekend in Darien, we have the Darien Sport Shop tree lighting on late Sunday afternoon. So our warm holiday spirit really begins with Small Business Saturday.
That's true. I know we at the HA Network wouldn't be able to do what we do without the support of the small businesses, which you'll be seeing plenty of those advertisements during this show and on Thursday also.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have a pick? A score pick for the game?
Over and under? Well, it's certainly.
What's the line on the game, Rob?
I'm not going there. I just hope and wish that New Canaan prevails and it's a clean game as it always has been, and we see the degree of athleticism that I witnessed last year on both sides. It was phenomenal football last year.
Yeah, we're blessed with incredible athletics here, and I'm hoping that everybody has fun, enjoys good sportsmanship. And I have to say, three's a charm for Darien, and I'm thinking, what is that, the 28, 21, something like that score for 3 years in a row? That's going to be my pick.
All right, I like that. I think you two are great because there's the rivalry between New Canaan and Darien is a lot of fun, but it's also that's what it is. It's fun. It's not vicious or anything like that. And you two are both very successful first selectmen CEOs of your town, and your friendship and your little fun rivalry that you have with each other is a great example for the players and for all the fans from both towns. So thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. I love spending time with her.
Our pleasure too, and I want to thank HAN Network for having us today, and a shout out to our HAN family members in Darien at the Darien Times.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Hi, Greg.
All right. We're going to take a break. Thank you again to the first selectman of both Darien and New Canaan for joining us. We'll be back with more FCIAC Tailgate after this.
Would you like to be able to help in an emergency? Do you know what to do when a family member is in distress? Learn life-saving skills and become a certified EMT in New Canaan. Whether you're looking for a career in healthcare or you want to give back to your community, the training is invaluable. The New Canaan Volunteer Ambulance Corps is offering an EMT certification course starting on January 16th, 2 nights a week and some Saturdays. It's filling up quickly, so call 203-594-3535 to get involved. New Canaan Volunteer Ambulance Corps. Neighbors helping neighbors. Find out more at ncvac.org.
What makes Darien special during the holiday season? Locally owned shops and restaurants where you can find everything you need to make your holidays more enjoyable. Start with breakfast, then shop for everything from toys to unique gifts and the latest trends in fashion. Take a coffee break. Stop at our farmers market or one of our shops where you'll find an amazing selection of cheeses and meats. Then enjoy dining at one of our fabulous restaurants. This holiday season, experience shopping and dining in Darien.
At That Personal Touch in Canaan, we have personalized gifts for all occasions. Family owned since 1983, we specialize in expert engraving done on premises. From engraved sterling silver and pewter frames, wood cutting boards, slate cheese servers and trays, leather embossing, crystal engraving, and glassware, every gift becomes unique and personal. And just in time for the season, we have a variety of personalized Christmas ornaments. Visit That Personal Touch at 102 Main Street in New Canaan and at tptengravers.com. Visit Bevel Saddlery this holiday season, not just for equestrians. Celebrating 30 years in New Canaan, we offer an exciting selection of men and women's sportswear and exquisite gifts. From home decor, hostess gifts, stocking stuffers, to items for horse and hound. You'll find something for everyone on your list.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network. FCIAC Tailgate back here on the HAN Network. A great look at Josh Fisher tailgating now. He's got the grill working. Chicken wings on one, hot dogs and bratwurst on the other. Frank Granito and John Kovach. Now, John, we got to work together in the War Room this week doing some film breakdown, but a great segment coming up. We're going to go through a play on the field, breaking down the run-pass option, which we expect to see a lot of on Thanksgiving.
It's interesting because this gives you different wrinkles out of the same alignment with essentially the same play, all based on reacting to what the defense does, and the real concept being making the defense wrong.
We talk about that stress defender that they're trying to isolate, and we're going to get a great look of it now as we go back. We've got our sports writers from both HAN and outside. Let's start on this first play here. The key guy we're going to focus on is the middle linebacker, played by Anthony Pirelli here. That is who our star quarterback, Martin Hersom, is going to be reading on this play.
Marty is going to take the snap from Kevin. Dave Rudin is going to cross his face. Crosses right like this. Can I give it? Big pocket. Well, you're going to read the linebacker. Well, he's not doing it. Well, that's a good way to play it because he's just screwed your read up.
Now we see the linebacker has blitzed here. So on this one, now you've got your route from the slot. That's me? That's you. You're going to run this slant route here. Sean Patrick Boley on the slant.
Quick slant.
Slant, like this? Oh, should I do it now?
Yeah, right now.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Look. Now. What you want to do.
And the D-end in coverage.
Right. Now, Sean, you're going to roll right into that. You're going to start looking immediately. because if you get into the linebacker box, his throwing lane is gone. Frequent refrain, but you want to be catching that, and he needs to throw that before you get back to this tackle, before you're back in the box, because there's just too much traffic in there. And then as soon as you catch it, get north-south. So let's try that again. Dave, you're about a step behind Marty at the snap now. Go cross his face, fake to give.
And that was why he stopped playing quarterback after 4th grade.
We have another classman we can invest this time in now.
Now, this is a play, John, we're going to see from both New Canaan and Darien a lot tomorrow. They like to read that middle linebacker for the pass, and it's the outside linebacker they're going to read off of when they want to go to the run play.
Correct. So we're going to shift Anthony now. He's now an outside backer in, say, a 3-4 look. His belt buckle is going to be on the number 2 receiver, who is Sean. We're going to be a little wider there. Eyes are on the quarterback. We're going to take the snap. We're going to fake to give. He might give. He's going to read that. Marty's going to come this way. If you play Marty, Sean's going to backpedal, look to his quarterback, catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage. This defender is going to block and try to get outside leverage on the corner so that Sean, or the number 2 receiver, can come up behind him and ladder it outside to the sideline where he's got an extra blocker and a whole lot of room. That's all going to be predicated by what he does. We're creating a distressed defender here. Sorry, no offense.
But what happens, and John, what makes this play legal is that as Sean retreats and heads out to the bubble, this becomes a lateral pass. It is a backwards pass representing a run play, which doesn't prevent our linemen on the interior from blocking downfield illegally.
Right. Even the forward pass, as long as it is behind a line of scrimmage, these guys can be engaged. So you're okay. Once you catch it here, if they get, they're not going to change the blocking here. This call is likely going to be a run play. So you might have a second level block here. You might have Kevin out here at the second level blocking Mike, who's a backside linebacker. If that throw is behind the line of scrimmage, it's all legal. It's all good.
And we'll see this through a variation of formations as well. They'll use it out of a trips formation, isolating the receiver on the backside. We expect that we'll see New Canaan using it out of that 2 tight end set, the empty package, motioning Ryan O'Connell, and it'll be a run keep option for Drew Pine, where he'll read a backside end and determine if he wants to take off the opposite way.
Right, that'll be your first read, will be the outside man on the line of scrimmage to that side. Then you could look this way. You could also, most people don't, run the RPO to that fake, but a little easier coming back.
I want to thank all of you guys for coming and being a part of this. It's very obvious to me why we are all working on the sidelines and not within the field.
He does run a good route, I'll give him that.
Let's take another break on FCIAC Tailgate, but when we get back on the HAN Network, we're going to head up to the plaza, stop by the grill, and see what Josh Fishers has got cooking, all coming up next on the HAN Network.
At Hoyt Livery, our goal is to always... Sam, what are you doing? We're filming a commercial.
I'm checking out the new Hoyt on the Go app.
Hoyt's here!
Manfredi New Canaan is a dream come true for locals Kim and Roberto. Their Elm Street store features Rolex, Hermes, and design jewelry collections from everyday classic gold to diamond jewelry. Manfredi offers a range of services from simple jewelry and watch repair to elegant jewelry design. Let Manfredi New Canaan help you find the perfect gift to celebrate important life moments. Visit us at 72 Elm Street, New Canaan, or online at manfredijewels.com.
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
This holiday season, the Glass House Design Store offers an edited selection of gifts, objects, and artist editions that represent the iconic Philip Johnson House. The store offers unique and specially sourced objects locally and from around the world, and proceeds from the design store help support preservation projects at the Glass House property. Shop the design store at the Glass House Visitor Center in New Canaan, now open through November 30th, and available anytime online at designstore.theglasshouse.org.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
Right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
Are you ready for winter? Ski and Sport has everything you need to be fully outfitted for the season. A family-owned and operated business with over 40 years of experience, Ski and Sport's 3 convenient locations in Fairfield County offer top-quality, high-fashion ski and winter wear. In addition to clothing for men, women, and children, we also offer seasonal rentals for the entire family. Stop by our stores on 1 Ethan Allen Highway in Ridgefield, 877 Post Road East in Westport, and at 110 Main Street in New Canaan, or visit us at skiandsport.net. Back on FCIAC Tailgate here on the HAN Network, we get a look at those temporary bleachers that have been brought in to accommodate the 5,000 people that New Canaan is anticipating showing up. Of course, those 5,000 people were all predicted in a matter of 40 minutes here, Kate. Well, we shift now. We're taking a look at the tailgating aspect here. Our executive producer, Josh Fisher, working on chicken wings at the moment, and I will turn it over to Kate for a little coffee break look inside the tailgating.
All right. Now, Josh, I know you're working on some chicken wings now, and you mentioned that they're not cut for a very specific reason. What is that reason?
Well, it's just easier to grill them, Kate, when you have the drumstick and the flat part together. That's the basic reason. So you can cut them after you're done, or you could just go all in and just get it all. Because that way you don't have people just fighting. Some people just like the drumsticks. Some people just like the flat part of the wing. This way, everybody has to take both.
Now, over at the other grill, we have, of course, some hot dogs, some sausages, all great tailgating food.
Oh, definitely. And then we're going to throw some steak on here in a second, and we got some sliders also. Yeah. So Frank's trying out the...
I'll be the test dummy with Kate. I'll be the test dummy with Kate here. Oh, it's cooked.
Oh, it's not pink, so we're not going to get sick. That's the good news. We'll still be here tomorrow.
Is that a mustard marinade? It's a mustard marinade, yeah.
That's delicious.
We got some mustard, some soy sauce, a little bit of honey, I believe, if I'm trying to remember correctly. Made so many different marinades for this. Yeah.
That's the thing. You could have fun with it. You can do different things with the marinade.
Exactly. There's a little bit of ginger in there also. That should give it a little bit of a bite. Frank, what do you think?
It's awesome. Don't hand me the mic, though.
I'll give it a little bit of a bite. Now, let's talk about the chili. You started working on that a couple days ago so those flavors could settle in. What's your chili recipe, Josh?
So I got 3 meats in there, Kate. We got ground sirloin, we have veal, and then also some sweet Italian sausage there, too. So, and then, with the regulars, onions, celery, peppers, hot and bell. And cooked it on the stove on Tuesday night, or Monday night rather, and then transferred it to a crock pot this morning to heat up here. So when we serve it, we'll put it over some cornbread that I baked last night, and then you throw a little bit of cheese, maybe some sour cream. We have some jalapenos in there if people want to make it a little bit spicier. So.
Now, we do want to just give a shout out to the New Canaan Fire Marshal and New Canaan High School for letting us grill out here today. And we do know that for Turkey Bowl, Frank, obviously tailgating is a big tradition.
It is a big tradition. You will not be able to tailgate in Hawes Plaza, so don't roll up trying to bring your grill in here.
We're special.
But Josh was saying people are anticipating that they're going to be parking their cars here tonight to get spots for tomorrow morning. You can expect all of this junior lot here by the water tower fields and the tennis courts to be packed with trunks wide open, coolers, grills, and everything going back from both sides of the rivalry too, New Canaan and Darien. Josh, you've got a second grill going over there too.
Yeah, we also have this is with wood charcoal here, and then we have a propane grill there going. Bill Bloxham has the fire extinguisher just in case. We did burn some hot dogs while we were down on the field before, because it's a lesson. You don't ask sports writers to keep an eye on the grill because they'll just start talking about football and not pay attention. So, but yeah, we have some sweet sausage on there. We're gonna throw some brats on there in a second. I just wanted to have a bunch of different options for everybody here because not everybody likes everything, and plus it's fun. Keeps me out of trouble today too.
That's true. That's true. Well, we didn't know you were such a great chef, Josh, so we do appreciate it. Now, Frank, what's coming up a little later on Tailgate?
Well, after this, Kate, we are going to go and take an interview with Christopher Mad Dog Russo, who joined us this morning. He's been hanging out with us since 2013 now to preview the Turkey Bowl. He had his guest spot on last year. We'll see if he can replicate that. And that'll all be coming up next on FCIAC Tailgate on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now at the Black Friday sales event. Ends November 30th.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for InSports High School Passing League. These 7-on-7 teams formed by area high schools offer a great way for football players to stay sharp in the off-season. 3 weekly 6-week sessions will be offered from December 1st through January 5th, January 12th through February 16th, and February 23rd through March 30th. For more information, visit insportscenter.com. Like and follow us on Facebook.
For unique and special holiday gifts, come to Touch of Sedona, a spiritual boutique located in the heart of Ridgefield, Connecticut. We have plenty of unique pieces, including Native American and jewelry, crystals, candles, incense, and books, as well as an ever-changing showcase of artists, intuitive practitioners, healers, and lots more. Happy holidays from Touch of Sedona, 452 Main Street in Ridgefield. Visit us today. Open 7 days a week.
1, 2, 3, happy! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think. Pressure technique. Pull your back.
Welcome back to FCIAC Tailgate here on the HA Network. Frank Renito, very happy to be joined now by Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Chris, thank you so much for taking time.
Good to be here,
today.
Frank. Nice to see you.
Let's start with this one. Is there a little added pressure today picking this game again after getting it right on the button last year?
Right on it. And, I got nailed here in New Canaan. I'm picking against the hometown team last year, but I did get it right. So, I mean, from that standpoint, obviously it's a pick 'em game. I mean, I think New Canaan should be favored. I think they've been a little bit more impressive with their offense. They have a pretty good defense, young quarterback. They're home. If you look at the comparative scores, I mean, it's a dead even game. It's a tricky game to call. It really is.
And that's a great word for it, tricky. This is now the 4th time in 9 years that both these teams come into Thanksgiving undefeated.
Right.
Is it losing any of the hype now as we reach this point, or does it just get more fun each year?
No, I think it gets more fun. And I think, listen, it's just the way it is because the FCIAC is not great from the talent. These teams aren't that good. These two teams are, but the rest of the conference is down and not good. Hey, look at the and they never get challenged. I mean, so as a result, when they do play play and they're both undefeated, you add something. Okay, the two heavyweights finally end the year with it. We know that the FCIAC changed the rules. The game's not at the neutral site. I think that actually adds something to the game here in New Canaan. Listen, these are the two powerhouses. They're by far and away, not even close, the two best teams in the league. And here they go play on Thanksgiving morning.
And you talked about the FCIAC being down, really the state of Connecticut
terrible.
down in football right now.
Terrible.
There are talks with no FCIAC championship. Some of these schools could go independent, and we could see games with New Canaan and Don Bosco's, some Stepanac, some New Rochelle's. What are your opinions and thoughts on that possibly happening?
I haven't thought too much about that. I don't. That's a lot of commuting. I don't think New Canaan's beaten Don Bosco, so I think that could be a little step up for them. I'm not sure if they can win that kind of game, but I agree. The quality of the game in and game out, every time these two teams play, they win a game 48-6, and it's not competitive. Now, that's fine. If that's what you want, it's fine. But the league itself, top to bottom, is just not good enough, whether it's they're bad or these two teams are so good. It's probably a combination of both. But the talent level in this league from top to bottom is very low. There's just nothing else you can say. You can deny it all you want. It's just true. And I know these two teams are very good. I don't know if they can step up to that Don Bosco kind of class, who have guys like Peppers on the team who might win a Heisman Trophy, who's going to play 10 years in the NFL. New Canaan doesn't have a guy who's playing 10 years in the NFL, nor does Darien. So I don't know if you want to go on that level either, but I do agree you like to have more competitive games on a week-to-week basis.
And that's really it. You need to find that next level of competition
in between
to push these kids.
It's tricky.
It's tricky. Talking with MLB Network's host of High Heat, Chris Russo, of course, SiriusXM's Mad Dog Unleashed. Let's look at the game now. You mentioned the young quarterback Drew Pine before, the freshman having a great year, but we expect this to be the first game he's really tested and under pressure. How can the freshman handle that adversity?
Well, I think that's the question of the game. I think injuries, too. Remember O'Connell limped off the field after that Trumbull game. You got to wonder if he's going to be 100%, and he's the best player they have, and he's the best player in the league, and they need him. He is a huge safety valve, Ryan O'Connell. If he doesn't, not 100%, they're never going to tell you if he's 100%, but you'd be a little worried about that because he did come off the field in crutches against Trumbull. So that is something I would definitely put into the factor here in this game because he's very important. But listen, the kid's elusive. He's a little Johnny Manziel. He's elusive. He's got great poise. He's had a big-time year. You don't want to put that much pressure on him where he has to go out there and, be the best player on the field as a 15, 16-year-old kid. But you would think that they're a little bit more quarterback-inducive than Darien is. So as a result, their quarterback needs to play better for them to win than Darien's quarterback does, who's going to run the ball a lot, rely on big offensive and defensive line play, and keep the possessions down and keep it more of a low-scoring game. So Pine's performance level, I have no reason to think he won't play decently, but he is, let's face it, he is 15, 16. He's 15 years old. He's 16 in December, and he might have an injury he has to deal with one of his players. So we've got to keep an eye on that.
And that's a good point. Ryan O'Connell did leave Trumbull on crutches. He didn't have to play against Fairfield Ludlow. That was no issue for the Rams, but you're right. This is a defense that Pine has not seen yet, and if he doesn't have O'Connell to check it down
that's
to
a major
or rely
issue.
on in the run game, that could be a big issue.
Plus,
for
New
the
Canaan
Rams.
doesn't play great in this game. And let's be honest.
No.
Let's call it like we see it. I mean, they've lost 4 in a row.
That's exactly right.
They've gotten back at him twice with the state championship. They don't get that opportunity now because they're in a different classification. New Canaan's played this game a little tight. Now, they come in the game always with more pressure because they're always so good, and they've been. Darien's not always been here undefeated. The one year, a few years ago, Darien had lost, and New Canaan was on. So there's always a little bit more pressure on New Canaan, which it's harder for them. But they have been a little tight in this game. To be fair, they've been a little tight. Let's see if they can overcome that here on Thursday.
We talked about that with Coach Marinelli yesterday, saying, is there added pressure on this game knowing you've lost 4 in a row? And his response is, was there added pressure when we had won 10 in a row against them?
Yeah, there is. That's the way it is.
And so
this class from New Canaan hasn't beaten Darien yet. That puts added pressure on the game. I mean, you can't deny it. It puts added pressure on the game.
And it's not just in football. We've really seen a change in power the last decade now, or last 5 years or so. Darien dominates New Canaan across the board in almost every sport. It's almost becoming a mind game at this point. New Canaan can't get over.
Well, they got a lot of kids. They got more people there who live in Darien. They got a bigger high school. I understand that. Listen, New Canaan he does a phenomenal job. They got a great program. I think they're going to win the game tomorrow. Last year, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be nice. I actually do think they might win the game tomorrow. So from my standpoint, I'll pick it. I don't think they're going to score 50 points. I'll pick the game 24-17 New Canaan. But again, they do get a little tight in this game. I am a little concerned about O'Connell. They need him in the worst way. I'm not worried about how Darien's lacrosse plays. I'm not worried about how Darien's tennis program is. I don't care about that. I care about these two teams. They're pretty close. It's dead even. They're due to win one. They're at home. Quarterback, I think, has got that elusive quality. I'll pick Darien. I'll pick New Canaan in a close game.
How much of a factor do you think the home field advantage plays, and what is the atmosphere going to be like here tomorrow?
Well, listen, they sold the game out in 30 minutes. I think it does help the games at home. This is not a neutral site scenario. They're here. They're comfortable. I think it's a little edge. I mean, these towns are so close. Darien gets plenty of tickets too, so it's not like they don't have any support. So I don't want to. This is not like it's Michigan, Ohio State, where there's 100,000 people rooting for Ohio State in Columbus, and Michigan hasn't won here in 12 years, by the way. So I say that because I was at the Michigan-Indiana game last week, so I'm into this flow now of the Big Ten.
I was there with you.
Oh, you were at the
I
game?
was out there
Good
with
for
you.
you.
God,
Good for you, Frankie.
Embracing the snow.
I went to the the Celtics game that after. I left at halftime, and it was cold. It was cold. I missed that snowstorm. So it's not on that level with the home field, but you'd rather play the game in your building.
Absolutely. On a more personal note now, you and Mike Francesa worked together for 19 years. You guys are having a 30 for 30 come out on you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, it's not done yet. They did 35 interviews. I've done 2 sessions with them. Mike and I will do another session with them. I would think maybe in the summertime. I don't know if that is exactly clear when that will be done. They've done a very good job. They've worked on it since middle of last June. They've interviewed everybody that you can possibly think of. They got plenty of good stuff. It'll be 60 minutes. I think Mike opened up a lot. I gave him what I had to give him. So they went to FAN, got a lot of information there. They've gotten all the executives who were involved with me and Mike, Brian Cashman, John Mara, you name it, over the last, whatever it might be, 6-7 months. I think it will be a very good show. I think the fans will learn something. I don't know. It's all ESPN now. They decide the distribution, when they air it. They have an editor who does all the stuff. So it's really I don't have anything to do with it. I just was cooperative. I don't have anything to do with the finished product. But I think, listen, those 30 and 30s do a great job. There's a issue they got to live up to. They can't. They're going to make sure that's a good documentary, and it won't be all positive. So that's a couple things I can tell you.
Of course, you and Mike were also nominated. Unfortunately, did not get in for the National Hall of Fame, National Radio Hall of Fame.
Right.
What did that nomination mean to the two?
I thought we were going to win. I didn't realize. I don't like the way and this sounds like sour grapes, and it shouldn't, but I don't like the way they do it. In Chicago, the Hall of Fame. What they do is the fans vote. So if you have somebody who is on the air, and we lost to Michael Savage, and we were second, if you have somebody who is going to campaign over and over again and his fans continue to vote, that gives him an advantage. Mike and I are no longer together. I'm on one platform, Mike is on the other, so we can't pound this with the same fan base. So it's a little tricky to have fans vote, but they want to get participation. It's a way to get their name out. I understand that. But it makes it a little weird that the fans, you can have, it's like voting for an All-Star game. They scooped the All-Star game too. And I'm not taking anything away from Savage, but it is a little weird relying on the fans to make the vote instead of a panel, which is most of the time the way they figure out these Hall of Fames. But, listen, I was disappointed. I wanted to win that. I wanted to get in.
Absolutely. And one final question. You're obviously a big supporter of New Canaan basketball. They got a new coach, a former Black Knight himself, Danny Melzer from Stanford. What do you think he brings to this New Canaan?
Danny Melzer will be an absolutely tremendous coach. Anybody who thinks differently is crazy. I've seen it at basically every coach in the FCIAC for the last 3 years. I've been at most every game in the FCIAC. He is not by far, but he's the best coach in the conference. From what I have seen on a day in, day out basis, he has been the best coach in the conference. Now, he hasn't done great in the postseason, but last year that team had no business making a postseason. He goes wherever he goes. He does a tremendous job. He's going to come in here. It's going to take him a long time. We've had some injuries in the senior class. We lost a big player, went over St. Luke's. So he's going to have some issues there. But as far as the actual coaching the game, coaching the ball game, he will do we won't lose any games by 3 points because he screwed up. So any game that we have a chance to win, his ability will get the job done. I love the guy. I think he'll do a tremendous job. It's a great hire by Egan. These are not he doesn't have Durant, Curry, and Thompson. I mean, the talent level, he's going to have to get adjusted to that, at least his first year or two. But the record will be what it will be supposed to be because of him. Trust me on that.
I think he gets kids to buy back into this New Canaan program. Really,
hey, you don't take an offensive foul. You're not going to play. He's going to play it the way he wants to play it. And so everybody in your listen. This team's not going 15-5. I know every kid. No way. But whatever they're supposed to do, he'll do. That's the bottom line.
MLB Network and SiriusXM, Chris Mad Dog Russo.
Frank, great job.
You've been doing this with us since
2013.
That's unbelievable.
Let me get this right so I don't get yelled at. Last year, was I right on the button last year?
Right on the button, 28-21.
Did I call it?
You did.
24-17, you can and make you happy.
There you go. Get your bets in with Chris Russo. Let's take a break.
Frank,
Thank you
good
so
job.
much.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. We'll take a break on FCIAC Tailgate, and we'll be right back with more on the HAN Network.
Hi folks, this is Dr. Jeffrey Hubsher from the Noah's Ark Animal Hospital in Danbury and the South Salem Animal Hospital. There's something new and important going on at our two hospitals and probably eventually everywhere. It's called Fear Free. That means making sure that our pets are no longer frightened or stressed at the vet. We are Fear Free certified, the only ones in the area. We have the softer, gentler, better approach. Come see us at Noah's Ark Animal Hospital in Danbury or South Salem Animal Hospital.
Want to reach new heights in your fitness and health goals? Find what you're looking for at Elevation Spin, Train, and TRX in Georgetown, Connecticut. Elevation Spin gives you purposeful spinning workouts inspired by the road. We encourage monitoring of heart rate and energy zones. Elevation also offers customized personal training with dedicated professionals passionate about helping you reach your goals. And let us motivate you to reach greater performance and functionality with TRX suspension training, using your own body weight for an incredible dynamic workout. Located at 4 Old Mill Road in Georgetown, call Elevation at 203-544-9503 or visit elevationspintraintrx.com for more.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
Welcome back to FCIAC Tailgate here on the HAN Network. Special thank you again to Christopher Mad Dog Russo for taking time with us. I'm now joined by Scott Erickson, Sean Patrick Boley, Rocco Veluzzo, and Mike Suppy as we look at some of the key state games that'll be taking place on Thanksgiving. But before we get to that, guys, I want to ask you, there's been a lot of talk about the state of Connecticut football being down compared to where it's been in the years, looking back into the early 2000s, even the 90s, where we saw more balanced conferences, but we're living in a world of blowouts now, it seems like.
Yeah, I think the teams at the top have really separated themselves from the teams at the bottom. We were talking about this before. I'm writing about this weekend for the FCIAC, how those teams, Staples, New Canaan, Darien, Ridgefield, all those teams that are one high school towns and have feeder programs into their high school are separating themselves from the two high school towns and the towns that don't have organized youth programs that are all feeding right into the high school. There's other issues, of course, but yeah, the good teams are getting better and the bad teams are getting worse. I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'll say it is ironic that there are a ton of Division I prospects in this state for this year. I mean, we've seen an unprecedented amount. I can't remember this many as long as I've been doing this, which is like 15 or 16 years, not to date myself or anything, but that there's been this many kids going to Division I schools. You know, Ben Mason from Newtown, Russell Thompson Bishop from Bloomfield. There seems to be a lot of talent in the state, but I think it's a lot more spread out now. There are a lot more teams. And the talent overall, which is just looking, even before the season we looked at, we're like, the teams last year were so much better and so much more. The Darien team was like a once-in-a-generation team last year, and you just don't see that across the board. There's heavy graduation losses, and this is like one of those off years we get. I suspect it'll go up, but I actually agree with Scott that there is a lot more, a lot more teams are blowouts and things like that.
And you make a great point there. The talent level is through the roof. The D1 prospects. You think back, when was the last time you saw 3-4 kids from Connecticut go as D1 linemen? Like the size of kids and just that ability is there too. But it's very, very picky. And Rocco, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
It's interesting in that respect. You wouldn't see that many kids from Connecticut, going to Division I schools, but hey, it's changed for everything.
I'll say, those guys. Speaking to Sean's point about the Division I prospects, a lot of these guys, they are spread out. A lot of them are at prep schools this year, which hurts the public school game. But again, these guys that are going to linemen, they're more of outliers, I think, rather than they're not the norm. Those 6'5", 300-pound guys. So will we be seeing more players like that? I don't know. I mean, the Northeast seems to be one of those places that's getting hit hard by kids not playing due to concussion, things like of that nature. But again, the blowouts are something that, there's not a lot of parity in the state, and that has been pretty much like that for the last few years. And the product suffers a little bit when there's so many teams beating up on the smaller teams.
It does, and it's unfortunate in the sense that those top teams, you said it right, that was a once-in-a-generation Darien team. Arguably, that Darien graduating class might have been the most decorated class in the history of Connecticut when you think about all the championships they won across the board in all the different sports. But you feel for those top teams because they're suffering and almost their work is being diminished from outside of Connecticut for viewers who are just saying, oh, well, it's a cakewalk for them. They've got it on cruise control here.
Well, there's something they can do about that. Then, make a schedule every year where Darien plays Trumbull, Ridgefield, Staples, New Canaan, and stops playing Ludlow and Central and Ward. Play them once in a while, but play the best teams against each other so that you go into every week saying, here's a good matchup, here's another good matchup. And then at the other end, those kids who are getting on a bus at West Hill to go play Darien, instead of getting on a bus to go play Danbury, and they're going to be in a competitive game, they're excited, the coach can motivate them. It's better for everybody if you kind of separate it at this point.
And there are rumors that there could be a division system similar to the SWC coming out with the FCIAC.
You mean the SEC? The SEC, the way they do it, I believe it was 2003. We saw Fairfield Prep beat East Haven 75-0. And I remember being at that game and sitting there going, I think we need to make a change here, and they did. To the SEC's credit, they took a progressive look at this and said, there are teams that are high school football teams, and there are teams that just want to play high school football. There are programs that are just teams. And what they did was, and over the years, they packed all the top double L and L, or maybe even M schools into a Division I, and now 10 years or 12 years later, you look at it, you're like, this every week in the SEC is an amazing football game. It's back and forth. You don't know. I can look at the schedule. I can't tell you who's going to win on any given day. As far as the FCIAC goes, I look at it. I go, well, I know Darien's going to win. I know New Canaan's going to win. I know this team is going to win. If they do that, and I think it would be a great idea that they did do that, they're already moving teams around in the SWC and the ECC to create this scheduling matchups that do that. If they do that in the FCIAC, then they're going to have to start looking at the state level. What can we do to change the playoff system? Because at that point, it'll be completely out of date. We're going to have to figure out a new thing. Maybe something like hockey, where there's a Division I or a Division II, and so on.
That'd be very interesting.
Well, I think in the SWC, there's a little bit more parity, though. Of course, you've got teams like Newtown, which is been a cut above everybody else, but a lot of the other games have been competitive each week. Granted, you also had some teams that have been struggling, but basically in the middle there's teams that are fairly on par with each other.
And I'm definitely a big fan of the SEC's tier system. I see a lot of SEC games. The only thing, if you're doing that in the FCIAC, most of these schools are double L that play in this league outside of a Trinity. But a team's going to have to be, in the SEC, you have teams like Sheehan and Foreign now in the tier system that are two of the smallest schools in the league that are playing double L schools, which you don't see that a lot in the state. Maybe occasionally you saw that in some of the other leagues, but not as much anymore as they try to break it down more by size. But again, it's something that makes the games more competitive, and like they said, those games are a lot more competitive than what we're seeing around here sometimes. There's at least one marquee game a week where teams are on, because they're evenly matched, and sometimes you don't have that in the FCIAC.
And it's the FCIAC that stands out the most for this discrepancy, and it's tough here. But let's look at some of those key games around the state this weekend now. Let's start with Platte and Maloney. Big game vying for playoff spots. What stands out there amongst that one?
The Stoddard Bowl. And anyone else want to join in here? No? All right, the Stoddard Bowl. This is going to be one of the biggest Stoddard Bowl games in recent history, at least. You have two teams that they hate each other, and they're both they're both playing to get into the Class L playoffs, maybe as the 5 seed or something like that. They're both similar. They both play great defense. Maloney might play a little bit better, and they all have outstanding athletes. Platte has Tylen Papalo at receiver, and he's been tremendous, a 3-year star for them at least. And Maloney's top receiver is Alejandro Ortiz, and he's one of the best receivers in the state. So that's going to be a really evenly matched game. It should be really great up there at Falcon Field in Meriden.
And the winner of that game, realistically, is going to have a matchup with Windsor or Middletown, depending on how that works out. This is a Windsor team that New Canaan faced in the playoffs last year. That was one of the better games we've seen. They're almost on a collision course right now, pending what happens, that they could be meeting in the semifinals again. Windsor really wants to win here and maintain that home field advantage if New Canaan loses.
And Windsor is the last team besides Darien to beat New Canaan. It was in 2012, but they were. I think that's the game in L that everybody wants to see is Windsor-New Canaan. Windsor has looked really good this year, just explosive offensively, dominant defensively. I think Middletown can hang with them. I don't know if Sean agrees with me, but I would like to see Windsor go in undefeated and end up locking horns with New Canaan.
It's not the Windsor team of last year, which was star-studded, but it still has some outstanding players on it. The defense, as usual, at Windsor is very tough. So that's going to be, it's a dream matchup. Every time you want to see New Canaan play somebody, you want to see him play Windsor. Those kids are tough up there, and there's some little fisticuffs going on in last year's game. That should be really interesting. It depends on where they go. Middletown lost to Newington at mid-season, which kind of took the shine off them. But their quarterback, Tyshawn Johnson, I can't remember, Tyshawn James, is one of the state's most dynamic players. So that should be really interesting. I like Windsor to take that one and maybe even get a high seed. So maybe we'll see that game down the road. Hopefully, I'm hoping maybe even they can maneuver themselves into a state championship path.
It would be nice, and you have to think that if New Canaan can win on Thanksgiving and Windsor wins as well, they're ending up in the 1-2 or a 1-3 situation, so they don't collide at least until that championship game. But that is the dream scenario for Class L that I think everyone wants to see. Let's keep moving down the list here. Newtown and Massac. I'll defer to you first, Suppy. What stands out to you about this matchup here?
Well, this is a series that goes in swings where one team usually dominates the other. And right now, this is a Newtown-controlled rivalry. They've won the last 4 years. Ben Mason ran for, I believe, 5 touchdowns last year. They established him. He hadn't been really running the ball a lot last year until that game, and they gave him a lot of totes, and he punished a smaller Massac defense. And unfortunately for the Panthers, they didn't grow too much in the offseason, and Ben Mason is Ben Mason. He's like trying to tackle a small car if you're a high school kid. But he
Fiat or
I'll give him like at least a 4-door sedan. He's not even Fiat size. But Newtown is going to try to. They're in double L, so Massac needs this game and some help to get in. They haven't been able to do much. These games have been one-sided outside of a 28-7 game 2 years ago, I believe, where Massac had the lead. Newtown came back. In that game, Newtown's quarterback was hurt. Justin Dunn's the quarterback that time. He stepped in that game, and he's been the starter basically ever since. So now he's a senior. Massac's going to give him – they're going to play hard for Coach Jolito, but I think Newtown is probably going to take this one and go into that playoff game undefeated.
There's some hope for Massac that Bunnell took Newtown to the brink. They only lost by a point, and Massac also competed well with Bunnell, even though they lost that game as well. Massac might be a year behind right now, and maybe their year is coming. They have a lot of underclassmen. I don't see them with all the seniors right now in Newtown, especially Mr. Mason going to Michigan. That should be I think that they should get a high seed in double L.
Rocco, any thoughts on that Newtown-Massac game?
Well, I have to agree with Mike there. Newtown has been the dominant these last few years and in the SWC overall, except for last season, of course, with New Fairfield coming out and winning its first championship. Yeah. But it's been the Newtown's been under Newtown's control for the last few years. So I think it'll all follow suit. So I'd have to go with Newtown as well.
NFA and New London. NFA is on the brink, and I really think that they're going to find a way to get into that Class AA playoff, but that's a New London team that's very talented right now.
They have a lot of great players. They have Melcon Gomez, and I can't think of the names. They're all kind of falling through my head right now. And then NFA too. NFA played a tough schedule. A lot of FCIAC guys got to see them. They played Stanford. They played Staples, and they played Darien. They got smoked by Darien, but then smoked Staples the next week, and that was kind of an eye opener for a lot of teams. Their quarterback is new. He kind of came into the role, and they put their receiver, whose name I can't remember his name already, but they're tremendous. They're tremendous. NFA. They're going to be a problem for anybody that they play in Double L, even if they do, get in there against Darien. I think they've grown up as a team over the last few weeks, so I think a lot of teams would like to see them out and not. But I think New London could probably win that game. That's always one of the best ones in the Thanksgiving slate, obviously.
We've got Southington and
Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson. Yes, it was Juwan Johnson, ran for 277 and 3 scores against Staples.
Woo!
And you're right, that was an eye-opening game. NFA cruised, and that really right now, to pick on an FCIAC team, that NFA win over Staples is the difference between Greenwich being able to control their own destiny and being on the outside looking in coming into this week.
Staples, wins that game, they're going to knock Greenwich out, obviously, but that game is key points. And if Greenwich beats Staples, that keeps points away from NFA in the Double L race, and it makes it a little bit tougher if they were to lose. Now, if they win, they're in, but if they were to lose, it becomes a little bit of a jumbled mess there, and that obviously Greenwich beating Staples would really hurt their chances.
Let's go Southington, still undefeated against Cheshire. The Blue Knights just continue to reload and find themselves at the top of Double L here.
Yeah, they've probably got one of their better defenses. It's been tremendous all year. No one seems to get a handle on them. But the thing about Southington this year is that it's not a vintage Southington team. Yeah, you have a Barmore at quarterback and some other names, but for the most part, it doesn't inspire the dominance. You don't have a Rose there. You don't have Alessio Diana has gone, although Vance Upham is still one of the top running backs in the state. He's there, but they don't have that 1-2 punch they had a year ago. And plus, they play in a CCC Division I that, it plays all Double L schools, but they're all not great. And this year was especially a down year for the CCC Division I. So we're anxious to see how Southington plays. I'm sure that they've heard this, and I'm sure they got a chip on their shoulder. They hear about Cheshire playing this tough schedule. I'm sure they're going to want to show it in the Apple Valley Classic. I typically like them over Cheshire. Cheshire hasn't really won in a few years, but again, Cheshire's been so close so many times, even when they weren't supposed to be. So again, that could be, obviously, it's going to be a pivotal game for Thanksgiving.
I'm going to take Cheshire in this game.
I just contrarian.
Listen. They need to get it. They need to win to get into the state playoffs. This is a year they can beat Southington. Like you said, it's not a vintage Southington team. They're undefeated, but I think Cheshire feels that too. Teams can feel when a team is beatable.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, a couple of years going into that game, Cheshire had to know Southington was kind of a special team. So they're going to play hard. They're going to try to win, but this year, I think you can. When a kid really starts to believe that they can win these games, I think they can win these games, and I think Cheshire's going to win this game.
Look out for Brian Wayrock, who's their linebacker. You've seen him; he's tremendous. Jack Rabb, the quarterback. Cheshire has been in so many games. They took their punch for punch with Shelton. They play in SEC Division I. I don't know what a tier is, so I don't know. But they play in SEC. They play.
To say the word.
I refuse to. Anyway, long story. But anyway, but they are clearly one of the better teams in that division. If you're a better team in the SEC Division I, then you can play with anybody in the state.
Cheshire, they were down in that game against Shelton 21-0 and came back like gangbusters and made it a game. Shelton shut them out in the second half, but they got some players on offense. Like you said, Raba, the quarterback. They have a couple good receivers. Defense is pretty good. They got Gashers, some big plays, which might hurt them against Southington, but they're definitely, for my money, they play the toughest schedule in the state, and they're going to be ready for this game. They're not going to shy away from a challenge in Southington because they've had 9 other challenges on their schedule, and that's just, toughens you up. I think they probably have a lot in the tank left for this one, for sure.
And our final game here outside, West Haven and Prep. You've got West Haven and Double L. West Haven and Double L. Prep and Double L. This is a very, very good West Haven team, and they run that I'm going to use the word fidgety offense that's with their speed and their just tenaciousness is so tough to defend. But you talked about this Prep team, Mike, and just the size that Prep continues to come back with that's unmatched almost throughout the state.
Yeah, I mean, they have a quarterback in Conti who's going to Yale who looks like he could play in the NFL. He is a textbook. He looks like a quarterback. But it was interesting when they knocked off Shelton and put the state on notice, really. He threw about 5 passes in that game. And it was Doug Harrison, a tailback who came out of basically nowhere, who had a couple hundred yards rushing on the season and surpassed his entire total in that game. They had 250 some odd yards. Can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but his kid, he's a legitimate 5'10", 190-pound back. He can hit for contact. He can break tackles. And West Haven, as they showed in that game against Shelton, they can get beat defensively, giving up 52 points and winning a game because they can score a lot of points. So I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of running, both teams running the ball a lot, and it has the potential to be another shootout here.
It's funny you mentioned the West Haven defense because before the season, beginning of the season, the first 5 games or so, we were all about the West Haven defense. It was amazing. It was this is what's going to carry them over the top because they didn't have that the last few years. Byron Dickens, their D tackle or their nose guard is one of the best players in the state by far. He makes that team run. They do have a susceptibility to the pass, and Suppy touched on that a little bit. And I think it's part of the SEC Division I schedule. I don't mean to belabor this point, but after 10 weeks of that, you're going to get softened up a little bit, and you notice there are a lot of high-scoring games in that league. And when it comes down to Fairfield Prep versus West Haven, this is the game West Haven typically always wins. They got the Godfrey brothers, Anthony and Kyle, and they have Chris Chance. Eddie McCarthy's one of his sons at quarterback. They got some big guys up front. I think at their place, it's going to be more of the same from West Haven this year. I think they're on a mission right now. Shelton had them on the ropes, and they still beat them. Again, this is the game West Haven usually always wins.
What's the over/under on this game?
Well, they usually when they get to Thanksgiving, they only play a 40-point game, meaning 21-21 or something like that. But those kids are just so fast and so tough. I could see them putting 40 up on Prep.
And it's a must-win game for Prep here. Otherwise, they're on the outside looking in for this tournament, but they've got to find a way to knock off West Haven here.
They need to stop the running backs. They need to get the defense. I don't know if they have the speed. Hillhouse, they beat them 40-18. But Fairfield Prep was burned many times by Hillhouse's skilled players. West Haven's got just as many of those guys, and they're just maybe a little bit bigger, might be a lot better too. So that's going to be really tough for Fairfield Prep. They need to somehow figure out how to neutralize that speed. One of the ways to do that is play ball control, keep the West Haven offense off the field. Don't commit any turnovers. All the typical stuff you hear. That's what they have to do in order to win this game.
It's a very talented West Haven team. We expect that Prep will need to play a perfect game to come out on top. Gentlemen, thank you for talking the outside of the FCIAC games with us. We'll let you get back up to the grill for a little bit. We're going to take a break, but when we get back, we'll be joined by our HAN sports editors along with Dave Rudin and Anthony Pirelli as we look at the FCIAC games coming up for you tomorrow. All of that next on FCIAC Tailgate on the HAN Network.
What makes Darien special during the holiday season? Locally owned shops and restaurants where you can find everything you need to make your holidays more enjoyable. Start with breakfast, then shop for everything from toys to unique gifts and the latest trends in fashion. Take a coffee break. Stop at our farmers market or one of our shops where you'll find an amazing selection of cheeses and meats. Then enjoy dining at one of our fabulous restaurants. This holiday season, experience shopping and dining in Darien.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well, bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Why cook it all this holiday? Avoid the stress of holiday planning and let your friends at Walter Stewart's in New Canaan do the heavy lifting. Whether you're looking to fill in with a few crowd-pleasing sides or you want us to prepare your whole feast, from cranberry sauce to pumpkin pie, we're ready to simplify your holiday. Place your order from our holiday menu and spend your holiday the right way, relaxing. Our fresh prepared holiday meals to go are designed with your busy schedule in mind. Visit us at stewartsmarket.com or at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan.
Have a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Basketball, hockey, skiing, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
On the HAN Network's FCIAC Tailgate, previewing Turkey Bowl 2016. I'm Frank Renito, joined with Dave Rudin, Bill Bloxham, Kevin Coleman, Anthony Pirelli, Tim Murphy, and Dave Stewart as we look at the upcoming FCIAC games for Thanksgiving. Let's start with Fairfield Ludlow and Fairfield Ward. I don't think there is a team in the conference who is more excited for their season to end than the Ludlow Falcons. Just constant turmoil off the field and struggles on the field. They come in winless. Is there any chance that the Falcons can take out their rival Mustangs, the rival Mustangs?
I think it's going to be tough. Like you said, it's been a frustrating year for Ludlow on all accounts. They lost Will Melbourne, their best player, to a season-long injury. It's been a tough season. And Fairfield Ward, it's been a disappointing season for them as well. I know they came in with really high hopes, really thought they could be a 500 team, lost Brian Azarian for a few games. So I think Fairfield Ward is a heavy favorite for it. And it's just, town title, bragging rights, and then both schools go back and regroup for next year.
Yeah, I agree with Dave. The one factor with the Fairfield Ludlow Falcons that I did like was their special teams. I thought they played very, very well on their special teams. So that's a dangerous little area there where they might get a touchdown. But besides that, with Azarian and Ward was competitive in some games. I think there were some games. I think they left some wins on the field in their minds, and. I don't see Ludlow being able to stay with Ward this season.
Let's go over to Kevin and his guess. What do you think there, Kevin?
All right, guys, what do you guys think? Ludlow, Ward, what are you thinking, Anthony?
I'd have to agree with them. I think that, I guess I'd say that this game is good for both schools, that have had disappointing seasons, because it gives you something to play for on Thanksgiving. The year comes to an end. But when you're having that kind of year, especially like Ludlow's having, it's always something to look forward to. You get to play your rival. You get to do it in front of a bunch of, friends, family, the whole town. So if, it's there's no moral victories maybe, but it's something to kind of aim for at the end of the year.
All right, Tim, what do you think? Fairfield, Ludlow, Ward, big town rivalry. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Ludlow gets psyched for the rivalry, gives them a shot, but I think Ward's going to close it out on them. I think Ludlow might have packed it already up for the season.
All right, Dave, last but not least.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to pick this game for Ludlow, our friend John Kovach, I can't see them winning this game. I think they've kind of checked out a couple of weeks ago. There was some turmoil and everything, and I think after they lost to Bridgeport Central, that was pretty telling, and I would have to go with Ward here.
Looks like it's pretty Ward heavy here, Frank.
I think Kate's still picking Ludlow.
I think you're right.
Next game, we've got McMahon and Norwalk. This is a McMahon team that I think really was much better than their record show. There were some tough breaks along the way. It's a tough schedule. Norwalk, on the other hand, a little underachieving. I think a lot of people expected bigger things from Norwalk, thought they might be able to knock off one or two teams this year. Dave?
Yeah, for Norwalk, I think defense has really been their problem. They've played competitively against a lot of teams. The Greenwich game, they put up over 30 points, but they gave up 62. So I think defense has really been the problem. They've had some injuries as well. AJ does a great job at McMahon. The last couple of years, they've been going down to the end of the regular season in the hunt for playoff spots. This has just been a tough year. I haven't had a chance to see McMahon this year, but from what everybody tells me, just the talent level isn't quite what it's been like the last few years. So both teams come in, McMahon winless and Norwalk on a 4-game losing streak. And I think it's going to be tough, even though traditionally there are a lot of upsets in this rivalry. I think this is going to be a tough spot for McMahon.
What are you thinking here, Bill?
I like McMahon. I did get to see them twice this season. AJ does do a great job with the team. I like the way they fell behind at the half by more than a few scores, and they just kept playing. And in high school scholastic football, I just think that is so important to be able to keep your team's head in the game all the time, and they do that. And Norwalk's defense is, can give up some points. So, just on a hunch, I will take McMahon.
All right, gentlemen. Dave, we'll start with you this time. McMahon, Norwalk, what are your thoughts?
It's one of those seasons for both teams. Neither one has really done what they want to do. Norwalk started out like they were going to do something. In this game, this could change everything for either one of these teams. This could make it a good year for, or at least a good finish to a year for a team like McMahon. So I'm gonna go with McMahon. I think they can pull off the upset here.
All right, Dave's going McMahon. Tim, what do you think? You picking Norwalk, McMahon?
I'm going Norwalk. I'm going to disagree. I think Norwalk's defense will give us points, but their offensive line, I think, can control this game. They can keep possession, time on the clock, and wear down McMahon.
All right, Tim's picking Norwalk. He thinks the offensive line's going to wear it down. Ward, what do you think, Anthony?
I'm going with McMahon. I got the chance to cover him last Thursday, and, the talent level isn't there, but they do a good job. I agree with what both Bill and Dave said, that and AJ gets them ready. They had, I think, 4 turnovers, and they had 6 dropped potential touchdown passes in that game. So it's really going to be on them to control their own, outcome there. And if they can avoid those easy mistakes, I think McMahon could, pull off this game.
Well, it looks like McMahon takes this side over here, Frank.
Let's send it back to that side, Kevin. We're going to go to the one game that doesn't feature 2 FCIAC teams. That's Bridgeport Central and Harding. Harding probably the obvious pick in this one, but the President's on the outside looking in at the Class L playoff scene right now. Who do you guys like over there?
Gentlemen, we'll start with Anthony this time. Who are you picking in this game?
I think Harding comes out on top over Central. Again, it's a rivalry game. Things go either way, but I think they have a little bit better team.
All right, he's going Harding. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go Harding too. Second that. I think they have more offensive weapons, and they'll control this game.
Dave, we're going for the clean sweep?
Going to go to the clean sweep. Frank says it's the obvious pick, so I got to take the obvious pick.
All right, Harding over here.
How about you, Bill?
Love the President's offense. Love their uniforms. Harding.
Dave?
I agree. Harding's really played well these last couple of years. Been able to get out of the FCIAC and play a little bit more competitively against the opponents they've been matched up against. I think they've done well. Central's coming off a win over Bassick, so they have a little bit of momentum there. You never discount what's going to happen in a rivalry game, but I think you have to go with Harding in this spot.
Especially with Harding needing to win this game to have a chance at the postseason. Not mathematically eliminated yet. I just think they're a little too talented and have too much depth compared to the Hilltoppers, and that's why they can pull it out. Battle for Stanford, though. Neither of these teams are going to win the city championship this year, but one of them will walk away a champion from Boyle Stadium. West Hill and the Stanford Black Knights. Stanford, after that strong start to the season, has really fallen off a little bit. West Hill at times has shown some almost greatness on defense. I think this is a much better matchup than people are giving it credit for.
You know what? Let's give credit to West Hill. Nobody's really talked about them much. You look at their first game of the year, Greenwich has to come back and rally to get a victory. Their last game, St. Joseph, a team that's going to be in the state playoffs, they had the ball in the red zone with a chance to win and a couple of mistakes. So West Hill has really played a lot of teams competitively, and they've done a good job. Stanford, they had all the turmoil in the offseason. We didn't know Jamar Green's status. He came back, and they got off to the good start, and they've just struggled there. I think they probably they played teams of comparable level and found ways to win, and now they're struggling a little bit as the schedule's gotten harder. You know what? I think this is West Hill's spot. They've really been a good, solid team for the most part. Lost some games to New Canaan and some of the teams that they really were outmatched against, but they've had a good season, and I think they're going to end it on a strong note.
How about you, Bill?
Yeah, Stanford's been up and down, and once again, I like teams that can rise to the occasion, and West Hill has seemed to be able to take the challenge when it was offered to them, and so in a big traditional Thanksgiving Day game like this, I like the Vikings.
Kevin, let's send it over to your table.
All right, Bill and Dave are picking West Hill. Gentlemen, what are you guys thinking in this matchup? This is a West Hill team. Like Dave mentioned, you talk about that Greenwich game. You talk about that St. Joe's game. Really played them well. Do you see West Hill winning this game? Anthony, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I do. And to echo what you said, they have played up in competition and been able to, hold their own in a sense with those teams that are kind of that second-tier FCIAC teams. So I think their defense does enough to get it done. I think West Hill does win.
All right, Tim, do they have enough to beat Stanford?
I think they do. I think West Hill, they've played some good teams close. They got shredded by Richfield. They're that great against the pass, but I don't think Stanford has the passing attack to cause them much problems.
All right, Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're talking about holding St. Joe's and Greenwich to less than 20 points in a game. I think the defense is played very, very well, and I think West Hill's the winner in this one.
All right, Frank, West Hill it is.
Kevin, you've got the sports editor for the Richfield Press over on that side of the table. Let's do the Richfield-Danbury game. Arguably no team hotter in the state right now than those Richfield Tigers.
Yeah, we know how good Richfield has been down the stretch. Tim, we'll start with you on this one. You've covered this team all season long. Do you see them losing to Danbury at all? What are your thoughts about this game against the Hatters?
No, I don't see them losing unless they're totally overconfident. But, they know they got to win to lock up the state berth, and I just can't see at this point. The Richfield's offense really clicking. Shane Palmer moving to running backs really spurred them. Drew Fowler's back at quarterback. The defense is playing better. I just wouldn't want to play Richfield right now.
And Dave, Tim just mentioned that great defense. You go back to that Greenwich game; they looked outstanding. Definitely getting some good stops in Connor Langan and Kevin Iobi. Do they have enough against the Hatters?
Oh, I think so. I think right now, I think the defense is playing well. I think the offense, everything's clicking well for the Tigers. They got their quarterback back and Drew Fowler, and they've got loads of weapons out there. I don't see them losing this at all.
This game's at Danbury. Do you see maybe since it's an away game for the Tigers, do the Tigers maybe have a disadvantage going to Danbury? What do you think, Anthony?
I think the talent level and the team level is so different, drastic that it doesn't matter where they play. I think Richfield is that much better, and as long as they don't hurt themselves and they play the game that they've played all year, especially recently, I think they really don't have a problem.
All right, all Richfield Tigers over here, Frank.
Seems to be the popular pick. What are you thinking, Bill?
Well, they are on the road at Danbury, and Richfield is a great team at Tiger Hollow, but they're a very, very good team on the road, and I just think the talent level of Richfield is just too much to overcome.
You've seen as much of Richfield as anyone else, Dave, and they've been so impressive. Do they stumble on Thanksgiving?
No way. And no disrespect to Danbury, which has played much better these last 3 or 4 games, been much more competitive. I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I'm going to assume a Ridgefield win, how Ridgefield does in the Double L tournament against teams outside the FCIAC. Their first round game, most likely, assuming they win, is going to be outside the FCIAC. But this is a really good team. And 7-2, 7-2, 7-2. That team is never forgotten last year, losing out on a tiebreaker and not making the state tournament. And that, I think, even though we're going back a year, that's still going to be discussed. We have control of our own destiny. We don't need any help. Drew Fowler coming back. Greg Gatto did a great job at quarterback, kind of holding the fort until Drew came back. Colin Lowe, Chris Longo, so you got a couple of great receivers. And the player who really, really has impressed me a lot, one of the most underrated players in the league, is Shane Palmer. And he does get some attention, but he doesn't get anywhere near the level of attention that I think he really deserves. And like you said, I think outside of Darien and New Canaan, this is the hottest team in the league, and I think it's a team that could do some serious damage in the Double L playoffs.
Keep in mind, should New Canaan and Richfield both win, and Richfield plays tonight, but should New Canaan win tomorrow, there is a chance we could see a 4-5 matchup between Darien and Richfield, which would be a very exciting game, I think. I know the Tigers would love a shot at the Blue Wave.
I think that'd be a great first-round game if you got that, especially since they haven't played each other.
Another game that a team that's not mathematically eliminated needs some help to get in. Staples at Greenwich. The Cardinals still clinging to life. This is a game, though, where I think you really can throw the numbers out. This is a Wreckers team people have been down on, but they're going to show up ready to play Greenwich. Can Johnny keep the Cardinals motivated, and do they get enough help to make it into the playoffs?
It's certainly not as difficult a road as you would think. Obviously, number one, Greenwich has to take care of business. Staples has struggled, but that's a proud program. Mars is going to get those guys ready to play. This is their playoff game. They're very disappointed. They had high aspirations to contend for a double L tournament and for a title. Hasn't worked out that way. So you're not going to see a team that's not going to show up, but Greenwich is real strong. You look who they lost to. They've lost to all teams. They've lost to Ridgefield. They've lost to New Canaan. They've lost to Darien. So they've lost to all quality teams. The offense has played really well. Kevin Iobi is in the talk for most valuable player. The defense has played, even though they've given up a lot of points, they've played pretty well. I think there's a good shot. We're talking about possible Darien and Ridgefield. We could be looking at Darien Greenwich too. And that was probably the best game of the regular season in the FCIAC. So you got to go with the hot team right now. And I think Greenwich is going to pull out the victory. And then everybody's going to be on Twitter or on the sidelines there looking at other scores.
How about you, Bill? What do you think in this one?
Yeah, I agree that Greenwich, once again, the hot team. I think this is going to be down to the wire, though. I can see this thing being decided on a conversion. Staples is a prideful team. They do play they play solid defense. Greenwich likes to run the ball, so that lowers the scoring opportunities for both teams. But I'll take Greenwich.
Kevin, let's send it over to your table.
All right, gentlemen. Staples, Greenwich, another big rivalry game. Are we going to see the Greenwich high-powered offense take care of the Wreckers? Anthony, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think if you look at the Greenwich roster from top to bottom, they're as talented and deep as anyone in the FCIAC. Losing those 3 games to the teams they did, it's almost like you kind of expect it out of Darien and New Canaan, and then Ridgefield, a couple turnovers at the end, killed them. So I think if they really play, especially offensively, the way they're capable of, you got a Staples team that has talent, and they definitely are going to be playing up to the moment. They want to end Greenwich's season. They're rivals. It's their last game. But I think as long as Greenwich could limit turnovers and their offense gets going, the way they have all year, I think Greenwich does win this game. I think it helps them a lot that they're playing at home.
All right, Tim, we saw Greenwich play against the Ridgefield Tigers. Do you see the Greenwich Cardinals bouncing back after that tough loss against the Tigers?
Yeah, I do. They were impressive in that game. They had some chances. They could have taken control. Iobi, they can control the ball on the ground with him. Staples, a good team, but you wonder what their mindset is going into this game. They don't have much to play for. Greenwich has a lot to play for. I think Staples' chance would be to try and force some turnovers and capitalize, but otherwise I think if Greenwich can keep the ball, they win.
All right, Dave, what do you think? Can Staples ruin the season for the Cardinals?
I think you got to give Staples a chance in this game just because of who they are and what the program's done. But right now, I think Greenwich is playing very well. Like Dave was saying, that all their losses are to quality teams. They do need a little bit of help to get into the States, but the 3 teams that are right ahead of them, which are Prep and Cheshire and NFA, I believe, are all playing 9-0 teams tomorrow. So there's a good chance all 3 of them could lose, and Greenwich could find itself in a playoff spot. And I don't see them passing up that opportunity. So I would say John Marinelli's Greenwich Cardinals are going to win here.
And I'm actually going to take the Cardinals as well, Frank. I think they're going to edge out in a great game against the Staples Wreckers.
Let's stay down at that end. We'll start with Dave Stewart. The last game outside of our Turkey Bowl, you've got St. Joe's and Trumbull. St. Joe's looking to lock up the 1 seed in Class M. A disappointing finish now to this Trumbull season that had a team that for the first half of the first game of the year, everyone thought was going to run the table through double L.
Yeah, I think Trumbull, same thing as last year. They got halfway through or got midway through the season. They got to New Canaan, lost to New Canaan, and their season kind of took a dive there. And I think that game hurt them there. And I think playing St. Joe's on Thanksgiving, while it's a big game it's a nice game for Trumbull to win. I just think St. Joe's is playing at such a high level right now. They lost on opening day to Darien and haven't missed a beat since. So I'm going to go with St. Joe's here.
All right, Dave's going St. Joe's. Tim, do you see Trumbull maybe squeaking by and getting past Trumbull?
I think this could be really maybe the best game of the day, but I think St. Joe's too many weapons on offense. The passing attack, they got a balanced team. I think this could be a high-scoring game, and I think St. Joe's will come out ahead.
Tim's saying high scoring. Anthony, what do you think? Do you think St. Joe's or Trumbull?
I mean, I couldn't agree with him more that it's going to be a high-scoring game. They both have talented offenses. Trumbull has so much potential on offense, and it showed up early, and then, the season just hasn't gone the way they kind of foresaw it. I think I'm going to say St. Joe's in a close one, but I think it's definitely going to be high-scoring. It's definitely going to, I think Maffei said it was going to be an eye-pleasing affair, and I would agree with that.
All right, Frank, we think it's going to be high scoring over here, and we're going to say a St. Joe's win.
Let's head over to Bill Blackson. Bill, what do you think? You've covered a lot of this Trumbull team.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a close game. I do think it's the game of the week next to New Canaan versus Darien. You got Johnny McElroy against Corey Babineau. You got Jaden Sheridan for the Cadets going against Marquise Woods. You got two great receiving cores. It's going to come down to which one of the teams on defense can force that extra turnover and make it go that way. So, I see St. Joe's somehow finding a way to win by 7.
I'll throw in an X factor for you. Nick Osborne as the difference maker from the safety position. What do you think about that?
I'm good. Threw me a curveball there. I wasn't ready for that
Everyone
one.
wanted offense. I'll give you the defensive player.
Well, you know what? It's kind of hard saying. St. Joe's is the one top team that I have not seen yet this year. And I've seen Trumbull a lot. I mean, the one thing that makes this game a real curiosity to me is St. Joseph has had one of the easiest schedules in the league. And I don't want to say that they're not a good team, that they're a product of their schedule, because I don't think that's the case. But they really haven't had to play as many tough teams as some of the others, and this is going to be one of their biggest tests. So I think this is going to be a good tune-up game for them to get ready for the state playoffs. Trumbull, the tone of their season was set up at Tiger Hollow opening week, that loss to Ridgefield. We knew that was going to be a big game, and the team that lost was going to be put a little bit of a disadvantage. Johnny McElroy, Corey Babineau, you got two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Trumbull's defense has struggled. a lot. I think this is an intriguing game. I'm going to give the nod to St. Joseph, but I would not be surprised at all if Trumbull somehow, this is their playoff game as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trumbull finds a way to get a win. But like you said, defense is going to be which defense gets the stops.
And it'll be a game that Trumbull desperately wants to win back. They have lost the past few Thanksgiving matchups. Dave, I owe you an apology. We left one game off the docket there, and that's arguably the biggest game expectation-wise when you think about 6-3 Wilton, 6-3 Trinity sitting there, both trying to sneak in to the postseason. We said it after week 4. Trinity sitting at 1-3 had the ability to run the table and maybe sneak into Class SS. Dave, I'll let you start. Is there any chance you pick against the alma mater?
Not at all. And Trinity's been getting dissed on Tailgate since the beginning of the year. So I'm going with Trinity in this case. I think while they're still alive in the state tournament hunt, but I doesn't look like they're going to make it in even with a win. But you got to give them credit, losing 3 of their first 4 and just a brutal start of the schedule. But to come back to beat Ridgefield and then to be able to run the table like this, I'm going with them. If they can beat Wilton there, they keep their hopes alive. It's doubtful they'll get in, but I'm going with Trinity.
And Dave, you've been very good about your picks this year. I know you're doing well with the volleyball, now the field hockey. You're sticking with your alma mater. Are you confident in that pick?
I am confident in that pick. I'm sticking with Trinity just like I stuck with Stanford volleyball.
That's right. We talked
see
about
what happens there. Yep.
All right, Tim. Do you see the Wilton Warriors edging out here against this team? Do you see them, the three-headed monster, you see them beating this team?
I'm sticking with Dave's alma mater on this one, too. Yeah,
sticking with Trinity, okay.
With Trinity. I saw them play Ridgefield, and man, they have some big guys up front. Yeah. They can control the ball. Wilton, I think the physicality of Trinity right up front is going to dominate this game.
Do you see Wilton having a chance against Trinity Catholic? Are you sticking with Trinity? You sticking with what these two gentlemen had to say?
Well, I definitely think Wilton has a chance. I don't think either way this game is going to be that one-sided. I think Cunningham's done a really good job with this Wilton team this year. I will go with Trinity, though. I saw them play New Canaan here the first week of the season, and honestly, it was 2 late coaching decisions I thought that really cost them the game. It wasn't their players. They played right with them. Granted, it was a different New Canaan team, but still, they played to that level. They have a really good front 7. They have a good run game. I think they do end up winning this one.
All right, all 3 pick Trinity over here, Frank.
What do you got, Bill?
I got Trinity, and basically I'm a big, size does matter. And Trinity definitely has the size advantage. Wilton has skill. I do think it's going to be a competitive game. I think it could even be a close game, but I like the size of the Crusaders.
I'll throw you another curveball here, Dave. If St. Joe's has had the easiest schedule this year, you could make a very strong argument that Trinity has had the toughest one. And it all was packed in those first 5 weeks, and it's been a different team the second half of this season.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a lob ball than Nick Osborne on me. Trinity had the first half of the schedule was absolutely brutal. You have an S school going up against all these double L schools. They got off to the 1-3 start. They're going to need a lot of help, and I think it's going to be really, really unfortunate. If there's one team I will feel bad for if it doesn't get into the state playoffs, it's Trinity Catholic, because I think it could do a lot of damage in S, and it's probably not going to get in because of all the double L schools that had to play early. They played New Canaan right here, very, very tough first week of the season. There was a defensive struggle when New Canaan's offense was still trying to find itself. But as Bill said, size does matter. Trinity's really big on both lines. Bruce Cunningham has done as good a job as any coach in the FCIAC this year. His kids always play hard. When Wilton struggles, it's because of numbers and lack of depth. Their starters always play tough, and when they lose, they usually wear down in the second half. I think they've got a shot to win this game. It's not going to be a shocking upset if they were to win. But again, they've struggled this year against teams that have a lot of size, and Trinity is big on the lines, and I think a steady diet of John Michael Bavona running the ball is going to end up being the difference.
And that's a Wilton team that the numbers shouldn't be an issue. They'll bring back a lot of key players heading into the 2017 season, but that is a really interesting matchup to keep an eye on. Both teams trying to find a way into those 8th and final playoff spots. Gentlemen, let's take a quick break here on FCIAC Tailgate. But when we get back, we're going to take a look at Turkey Bowl 2016 right here from Dunning Field between the number 1 Darien Blue Wave and the number 2 New Canaan Rams. All of that coming up next on the HAN Network.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
At Hoyt Livery, our goal is to always... Sam, what are you doing? We're filming a commercial.
I'm checking out the new Hoyt on the Go app.
Hoyt's here!
Manfredi New Canaan is a dream come true for locals Kim and Roberto. Their Elm Street store features Rolex, Hermes, and design jewelry collections from everyday classic gold to diamond jewelry. Manfredi offers a range of services from simple jewelry and watch repair to elegant jewelry design. Let Manfredi New Canaan help you find the perfect gift to celebrate important life moments. Visit us at 72 Elm Street, New Canaan, or online at manfredijewels.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now at the Black Friday sales event. Ends November 30th.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for InSports High School Passing League. These 7-on-7 teams formed by area high schools offer a great way for football players to stay sharp in the off-season. 3 weekly 6-week sessions will be offered from December 1st through January 5th, January 12th through February 16th, and February 23rd through March 30th. For more information, visit insportscenter.com. Like and follow us on Facebook.
This holiday season, the Glass House Design Store offers an edited selection of gifts, objects, and artist editions that represent the iconic Philip Johnson House. The store offers unique and specially sourced objects locally and from around the world, and proceeds from the design store help support preservation projects at the Glass House property. Shop the design store at the Glass House Visitor Center in New Canaan, now open through November 30th, and available anytime online at designstore.theglasshouse.org.
1, 2, 3, happy! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think. Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Back on FCIAC Tailgate on the HAN Network. Frank Rodito now joined by Mike Quick, long time with MSG Varsity. Mike, you know a thing or two about this game. This is now the fourth time since 2008 that New Canaan and Darien are going to meet undefeated on Thanksgiving. Is it losing any of the hype at this point in time?
Who said there's not an FCIAC championship anymore? I don't care what the league says. This is an FCIAC championship. And the problem with this game, Franco, is that we have to find somebody else in the league who's going to challenge these guys. Because when you look to tomorrow morning and you sent me all these wonderful things, and I look at it, and you can kind of throw it up in the air. Because who's been tested? We have no idea. Do we know New Canaan's as good as they are? Do we know Darien? I know this. They're not as good as they were last year. But how good are they this year? I don't know.
Darien's toughest challenge was against a Greenwich team back early in the year, and New Canaan struggled week one, but that was before they figured out that Drew Pine was their starting quarterback. What have you liked about the freshman quarterback this year, and what are some of his tendencies that might scare you heading into his first big matchup?
Well, here's what I like, because anytime you get a young kid coming in, there's going to be some people who are upset about it, and I'm a big guy as far as watching the sidelines. His teammates love him. You can see that. But when you break him down on the field, what I like about Pine, everybody's going to go crazy about the way he throws the football. Franco, it all starts with his feet. He's got great footwork. He truly believes he can make every throw. Now, that's good and bad, because a couple of times I've seen him this year, he'll kind of come across his body, running away from the play. Got to stay away from that tomorrow. You know, better off throwing the ball out of bounds than making a throw that he shouldn't. This is a different competition level. And let's face it, it's good and bad that he's a freshman, because he's a new kid, new to the area. Does he know the magnitude of the rivalry? Well, if you've been around for 3 months, you probably do, but he hasn't lived it like all those other kids, so maybe nerves-wise, he's not going to be as wound up as some of the other guys.
And when you talk about the rivalry and the atmosphere that's going to be here tomorrow, we were looking at those temporary bleachers tomorrow. I mean, will we have ever seen something quite like tomorrow at New Canaan High School? They hosted an FCIAC championship a long time ago, but this is going to be something else here on Thanksgiving.
I was here in 2004 when Greenwich played Bridgeport Central, or New Canaan played I forget, Bridgeport Central was in it. I can't remember it was, but there were no bleachers. And by the way, how in the world, Frank, do they have these bleachers? And I'm hearing they're putting the New Canaan kids to the other side of this. Those New Canaan kids should be right behind the goalpost. I mean, that's like college football, so maybe Jay Egan can flip that by tomorrow.
I got a feeling some of those kids might be showing up a little early to poach off the seats.
Hey, everybody's got to show up early tomorrow. I'm seeing electronic signs pulling in here this morning like sold out parking props. Last time I saw an electronic sign the day before a game alerting people about traffic problems, Don Bosco Bergen Catholic. And it doesn't get any bigger than that in the tri-state. But on Thanksgiving, without question, The biggest game now in the tri-state year in and year out is this game right here. No doubt about it.
And that's a great point that you bring up. You're comparing this to a Don Bosco and a Bergen Catholic. And
the game, not the talent.
The game, yes.
Yeah.
Obviously the game. Obviously the game. The
Yeah.
talent in Connecticut is down right now. But
the talent everywhere, Franco. It's not a great year for high school football as far as what we're accustomed to.
If you put this game on the scale compared to some of the other rivalries, obviously with New York's season ending by now, this Connecticut can take center stage, but where does Darien and New Canaan rank up there now after having this great run of these undefeated matchups?
Well, if you said to me at the beginning of the year, there's 2 games you have to see, Bergen Bosco, no matter what their records are, I'm going to see that game. Anytime these 2 schools have records like this to me is my second best game of the year. There's no question. And again, even though they won't play in the state final, those 2 years that they did when New Canaan, look at you, you're so upset about those FCIAC losses. But even when they played in the state final, there's nothing like Thanksgiving Day football. And I know all the New Canaan people, well, we got Darien the second time around, but you didn't get them on Thanksgiving in front of friends, families, alums, the whole thing. Thanksgiving Day football, Darien, New Canaan, is better than a state championship.
I won 3 state championships while playing, and I can tell you that nothing mattered more than our senior year when we won that FCIAC championship. I tell the New Canaan kids now, you want to win Thanksgiving. As an alumni, we come back, you want to win Thanksgiving. The state, it's not as important.
Is it going to be hard for you to call this game?
Oh, no, please. We're rooting for Darien.
I see you got the neutral color tie on. You got the Trumbull gold on.
We want Darien to win. There can only be one undefeated class. One final thing here, talking about the coaches in this game. Obviously, Lou Marinelli is the godfather of Connecticut football. Coach Rob Trefone won his 100th game this season at Darien. Yeah. Where does Rob rank now in the ranks of these Connecticut coaches, having an undefeated season under his belt, FCIAC championships, state championships? He was the #1 team in the entire state. How far has Rob brought this program?
Well, first of all, Frank, he should have 3 more wins this year. Total injustice to what happened to him. I mean, just it broke my heart to see. He's a maker of men. You know, and to see what happened there, it was just horrible that he had to miss those 3 games. Listen, when you look at Rob Trefone, you know, he's done it in 2 very different type places. He did it at Brian McMahon, and he does it at Darien. So when you can do it and be successful in 2 very different environments and have the success he had, he will, when he decides to put the whistle down one day, he will be known as one of the greatest coaches in the history of high school football. And then Lou just speaks for himself. First game I ever called, Frank, was a New Canaan Darien game a long while back. I was supposed to do game camera. The game was at Darien, and they told me you got to do it. One of the guys was sick. So I run over here real fast to meet with Lou, and I'm a basket case because this is everything I always wanted to do. And he relaxed me. He goes, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Who do you like tomorrow?"
You know, I've gone back and forth on all this nonstop, and I still don't have a pick. Yeah. I think they're so balanced. It's such a toss-up. This game is literally a coin flip.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that by 10 a.m. when we come on the air tomorrow, I'm going to know who's going to win this game. But let me ask you the same question. Who wins tomorrow and why?
You know, I don't know, because neither team has been in a competitive battle this year. I think the team that scores first, it's going to be big in this game. If the freshman, listen, even though, you know, Pine's a freshman, you know, Peters hasn't got, it's the first time, and what a year. I mean, when you talk about the 2 quarterbacks here, I don't know. You have Collins and Finley. The teams, the only difference between the 2 teams are the colors. Otherwise, they're very similar. I don't know. It's hard to pick a game when you know nothing about the 2 teams because they haven't been in a competitive battle. So, overtime.
Co-champions? That seems to be the way that Connecticut. That seems to be the way Connecticut's trending right now.
Overtime. I'm going with the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. They have gotten so much better since when I watched them here against Coach P's Trinity Catholic team. I saw Lou 3 days after the game. This guy's the happiest guy in the world. I thought he was going to run and get under the covers again. He was a disaster. But now and that's what it is. It's teaching. Coaching is teaching, and this team has improved so much. And then the first week of the season, I see Darien. I'm with our guy, Sean Patrick Bowley up there. They're just rolling right through St. Joe's. I'm like, wow, it's a given. They're going to win the whole thing again. Overtime, New Canaan. That's the pick.
I like it a lot. Mike, thank you so much
All
for
right,
coming
buddy.
on with us. Really appreciate it. A
Gold
lot of fun
tie.
talking
Very
to you. It
smart,
looked good.
man. Very smart.
Let's take one more break here on FCIAC Tailgate, but when we get back, we're going to have our picks for not only Turkey Bowl 23 in 2016, but the rest of the state games that'll matter. All of that coming up next on the HAN Network.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels. Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels. Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car?
Want to reach new heights in your fitness and health goals? Find what you're looking for at Elevation Spin, Train, and TRX in Georgetown, Connecticut. Elevation Spin gives you purposeful spinning workouts inspired by the road. Encourage monitoring of heart rate and energy zones. Elevation also offers customized personal training with dedicated professionals passionate about helping you reach your goals. And let us motivate you to reach greater performance and functionality with TRX suspension training, using your own body weight for an incredible dynamic workout. Located at 4 Old Mill Road in Georgetown, call Elevation at 203-544-9503 or visit elevationspintraintrx.com for more.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
Watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network's FCIAC Tailgate with a full contingency up here, ready to pick Turkey Bowl 2016. The talking almost done as we are just hours away now from New Canaan and Darien. Undefeated again, number 1 versus number 2. But let's cut through all of that. Dave, who do you like tomorrow? What's the score going to be?
We got 11 guys here. I like us. I like us. Let's go with us.
Only if Marty comes back and plays quarterback again.
Marty's the coach. Marty's our coach. You know what? This is just going to be another great game. I think it's going to come down to Darien's offensive line against New Canaan's defensive line. Jack Kircher's leader of the defensive line for New Canaan's had a great year. Andrew Stuber, of course. I don't see this being an ultra high scoring game. The last few years it's been in the 20s. I think it's going to stay that way. Can New Canaan's defense, which I think is the best unit of all the units if you have to rank them, can they get Brian Peters out of his comfort level so that he's scrambling around a little bit, looking to make plays, struggling? I'm going to go, we've had 28-21 the last couple of years, so I'm going to go give New Canaan the edge 28-21.
How about you, Murph?
I'm going to agree. I think the New Canaan defense is the difference this year. The last few years I've gone with Darien, but this year I think that New Canaan defense is so strong. You know, I think they'll make a few picks. I'd say 27-21 New Canaan.
Let's go over to Bill Bloxham here.
28-20 New Canaan. Their defense, I like Pine. I like New Canaan.
All right, Anthony, what are you picking, Darien, New Canaan?
I think you could almost flip a coin, but I'm going to be the odd man out so far, and I'm going to say Darien. I'm going 24-17. I think the key to this one is, A, going to be getting pressure on Drew Pine. He hasn't played in an environment like this. He hasn't played against a defense like Darien's. They have veterans on a defensive line. They have a very, very strong defensive line. They could keep Pine in the pocket, keep him uncomfortable, and if 6'6" Andrew Suber gets his hands up, I think it makes him uncomfortable, and it changes the complexity of the game. And then defensively, New Canaan is the best I've seen, maybe the best in the state. What helps Darien offensively is they don't rely on one player. They have 4 receivers over 300 yards. They have 2 very good running backs. They can hurt you in a lot of different ways. I don't think it's an offensive show. I think it's going to be a lot of defense, and I think it's going to come down to a couple turnovers. I think it's come down to a couple special teams plays.
All right, Anthony's picking a lot. It's going to be a defensive heavy, couple turnovers. What are you thinking in this game? Are you picking Darien and New Canaan?
Well, I'm going to go with Darien as well. Based on the last few years, of course, they've been so dominant. I mean, it's a toss-up either way, but it'll come down to, like you say, maybe a couple turnovers. But Darien's offense looks pretty good, so I'll still go with Darien in this case.
You have a final score of this game?
Yeah, I'm picking like 30-23 Darien.
Okay, 30-23, Suppy. Darien, New Canaan, what are you thinking?
I'm going New Canaan. Pine's got a lot of moxie. He's impressed me every time I've seen him play. I know he hasn't faced a defense like this, but he's carved up the rest of the defenses in the FCIAC. I think he's going to make some plays that's going to get New Canaan over the top. I think I said it's going to be a field goal, so 32-29.
32-21. All right, gentlemen down there. Dave, handing off to the mic. What do you think, Darien, New Canaan?
I predict that there will be football played and a lot of people at this game. I'm going really conservative this year because every time I pick this game, I always end up getting it wrong. So last year I picked New Canaan. This year I picked New Canaan, which means Darien's going to win late, as they do, 28-21, as always. I don't even know why anyone want to come show up, though they will in droves. It'll be like Woodstock.
That's right.
They're going
to
crash the gates, and
you should just watch the game online.
Yeah.
They're
going to crash the gates, so you might as well watch online. I said New Canaan. Yeah. I pick New Canaan every year. I know it's a little known fact, but New Canaan every year. Sometimes I get it right. Hopefully this is the year. But off to you, Scott.
Scott, you look like you're ready to go play football over there. Are you ready to go downfield, catch a pass?
I'm ready to lay out Sean.
Get in line.
All right, Scott, who's picking Darien, New Canaan? What's the final score?
I think New Canaan wins 28-21. I think it's their year. I think they're at home.
That's my score.
Oh, my gosh. But I agree with Sean that they're going to win 28-21. It should be a fun game, and everyone's going to enjoy themselves.
It's not going to be a fun game. I'm going to predict it's not going to be a fun game. It's going to be awful.
All right, Dave, last but not least,
We
you've
got
seen this new
28-21s. I'm going to go 28-14 New Canaan in this one. I think their defense has just been so awesome this year. This is one of the best defenses I've ever seen New Canaan have. I've been doing this for quite a while too, and I think the game tomorrow it's going to be a madhouse in here. Lou was saying it's going to seem like there's 70,000 people here, and the RV won't be in here. So, but I'm going with New Canaan in this one.
All right, Frank. The guys down here sound like they know what they're talking about. Maybe going for a touchdown down there at the end. Scott may run for a shallow cross, but Frank, these guys have spoken. I think New Canaan seems to be the edge right now. It's going to be a great game.
No matter what, it should be a lot of fun. And Dave, I think you're forgetting one key defense in the history of New Canaan.
I was just going to go on Chris Silvestri's back there, and we were just talking about it. He said if New Canaan loses, you guys are going to be like the Miami Dolphins, and you're going to be flipping champagne bottles because
you will find
undefeated.
us in the 2008 tailgate located right behind the RV if Darien wins tomorrow.
You threw me Nick Osborne. I want to know, better defense, 2008 or this one?
Without a doubt, 2008. The talent level was so much higher in the state.
Why is that, Frank?
To run the ball. They had this little scrawny corner kid who knew what he was doing too.
And the rest of the guys carried him.
Guys, thank you so much for coming out today. So much fun, absolute blast. That's going to do it for FCIAC Tailgate. For everyone else, I'm Frank Carino. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for kickoff. right here on the HAN Network between New Canaan and Darien in Turkey Bowl 2016.